Yeah, the 199th North London derby, but that extra special ingredient, apart from both sides needing a win here this afternoon, this always amazing and entertaining game. It's of course the start of the Tudor period. Igor Tudor in charge of Tottenham. He wears IT on his training top. Well, this is the IT crowd, isn't it then now? But a bit of a reboot, I guess you could say, in the head coach's office. Gary Neville joins me. Who needs this most, Gary? Arsenal looking over their shoulder at City, or Spurs looking over their shoulder at relegation?
I mean, that's a difficult question to answer because it feels like a crunch game, big game for both teams. I mean, the fact that this great club find themselves in this position, I mean, last year they were flirting with relegation, but really always safe. They're always safe. This year they're in a bit of bother. They need to win, and it's an appalling reflection really of the players, the quality that they have here in this squad, the internationals that they have playing for them, that they find themselves 2 years on the bounce in and around relegation. And with Forest, West Ham both actually looking okay, currently, and I think they'll pick up points. Tottenham are going to need to do something quite quickly and need something to get sort of clear of this sort of mess that they're in. For Arsenal, we know. I mean, it's a title run in. It's not quite in the sort of home straight, but it's getting up to that point now where every sort of drop point will matter. And there's a pressure. What pressure they're currently feeling, we don't know. But this afternoon at 4:30, we'll get a good understanding of the impact of that game that they had in midweek against Wolves, and obviously what City did last night.
To have a new head coach in charge with what he brings, and his last 5 clubs, he's won his first game in charge, and then of course they have a good run, and then maybe things tail off. Could Arsenal have done without that? Would they have much preferred to come here under the old regime?
Maybe, because obviously they were in a sort of real dip, Spurs. But look, Arsenal have got to look at what basically is in front of them, which is a team that they can beat. I mean, it is a North London derby. There's the added pressure of the title. The point is in the season, what they've done against Wolves, Tottenham having a new coach. You can look at all those things. But if Arsenal play well here today, then there will only be one winner.
The word bottle has been used again. Of course, they've been here before. They've had blips this season. They've had blips in previous seasons. Do you think what's happened to them over the last couple of league games will be an inspiration in the dressing room, or will they have it at the back of their minds in a bad way?
It's interesting, that word. I stopped using it after I called Chelsea bottle jobs maybe 2 or 3 years ago because it carries a meaning that ultimately I think people don't like anymore. It's deemed as being too aggressive. Yeah. I mean, quite simply, back in the day, if we basically were hunted down by Arsenal, which we were in '98, we gave up a 10-point lead, we deemed as bottled it. I don't think Arsenal are in that situation. I always thought that it would be tight. I don't think you ever get given your first league title for a long time on a plate. I mean, let's be clear, City are not just going to let them walk over the line. So what Arsenal have got to do now is just knuckle down, get a little bit of form back. Maybe dig out some victories, but it's important. They've got a group of players and a manager who've not been there before. I think Gabriel Jesus is the only one who's won a title. So, look, it'll be interesting to see how they are. But I'm looking forward to this next 10, 12 games. I really am. This is the point in the season where, Arsenal have been there 3 times before. They know what this feels like. They've got to make that count this time, but obviously make sure that they get a different result.
Got 12 players unavailable, Spurs. No other team in the Premier League is badly hit by injuries. Obviously, there's the suspension to the captain as well. When you look at the form, West Ham maybe could have picked up some more points recently. Nottingham Forest leads. Are they in a relegation battle if they lose today?
They're in a relegation battle anyway. I mean, they are in a massive relegation battle because, to be fair, this idea that, this group of players, they shouldn't be anywhere near it. But the injuries, I mean, we were led to believe last season that the reason that they had injuries was because of Ange Postecoglou's style of play and this sort of what would be all action, full front press, always sort of running the maximum. And that's why these Spurs players were breaking down. What we're finding this year is under a completely different manager, a completely different coach and a completely different style is that they're still breaking down. So there's a question either over their robustness and the recruitment in terms of signing players who aren't capable of being available for the acceptable time that you would want them, which is over 75-80% of games, or you can have a look at maybe other things like medical departments and other things. But honestly, they've got a massive amount of injuries to key players, but they can't use that as an excuse because the players that are out there are going to have to try and save this football club from going down, which it just seems unthinkable.
Arsenal delivered a statement performance tonight, dismantling Tottenham Hotspur 4-1 in a thrilling North London derby that will be remembered for years to come. In front of a roaring Emirates Stadium, Arsenal produced one of their most dominant displays against their fiercest rivals, overwhelming Tottenham Hotspur with intensity, precision and clinical finishing. The Gunners set the tone early, pressing aggressively and forcing mistakes from Spurs' back line. The breakthrough arrived inside the opening 15 minutes, as Arsenal's attacking movement carved Tottenham open. The home crowd barely had time to settle before a second goal followed, sending the stadium into absolute frenzy. Tottenham attempted to respond and managed to pull one back midway through the first half, briefly giving the away side hope. However, Arsenal remained composed and continued to dominate possession, controlling the tempo and exploiting the spaces left behind by Spurs' attacking intent. In the second half, Arsenal shifted through the gears once more. A swift counterattack restored their two-goal cushion, showcasing the team's pace and cohesion in transition. Tottenham struggled to contain the relentless pressure, and a late fourth goal sealed a comprehensive 4-1 victory. The result marks a significant boost for Arsenal in the Premier League title race, reinforcing their credentials as serious contenders this season. For Tottenham, it was a sobering evening that raises questions about their defensive organisation in high-stakes matches. The North London derby once again delivered drama, passion and goals, but this time, it belonged emphatically to Arsenal.